week's featured vocalist. I'm dreaming tonight of a place I love even more than I usually do. And though I know it's a long road back, this I promise you. A 1, 2, 3, 4. I'll be home for Christmas. You can count on me. Oh, please have snow and mistletoe and presents under the tree. Christmas Eve will find me where the love light gleams. I'll be home for Christmas, if only in my dreams. Rex Miller. Ted McClure. Oh, I'll be home for Christmas. Said you can count on me. Yeah. Oh, please have snow and mistletoe and presents under the tree. Christmas Eve will find me where the love light gleams. I'll be home for Christmas, if only in my dreams. If only in my dreams.
Merry Christmas. Good morning. Good morning. Thank you so much, Miss Becky B. Good morning. I'm Reverend Jackie Holland, and it is my honor and my privilege to welcome you to the Center for Spiritual Living this morning from sunny, albeit cold, Boise, Idaho. So, we welcome you this morning. All of you who are on Facebook Live, we feel you through the camera. We so appreciate you. And those of you who are here in the sanctuary, safely distancing, I want to tell you all that your Board of Trustees has made the decision to, if you are comfortable and if you are not autoimmune compromised and if you have been vaccinated, we have agreed that perhaps you can take your masks off at your seat if you are comfortable. Where we are on this issue is that we do feel that it's everyone's decision to take care of their health. But if you are not vaccinated, we ask you to please keep your mask on. Today I want to remind you that there are 5,285,999 deaths around the world from COVID. There are 796,112 deaths as of yesterday in the United States of America. And the cases, 270 million cases around the world, and 49.8 million cases in the United States. Someone last week asked me, politely why I shared these numbers with you. And so I wanted to take a few minutes this morning and tell you why I do share these numbers with you every week. First of all, these numbers were as of 2 days ago, so I want those numbers to sink in. Almost 800,000 people have died in this country from COVID, and that's probably an unreported number. And these are not just statistics. I want you to let those numbers sink in. These are not statistics. Each one of those persons was somebody's beloved child, wife, sister, friend, grandparent. Every teacher, athlete, it was somebody that was loved. And each person was of sacred worth, and so we want to remind ourselves of that every week. Why do we keep saying the numbers? Because people's lives are sacred. In a time when the COVID numbers are being politicized and even debated, we have to continue to remember that this disease is very, very real, and it is taking people's lives. We share these numbers with you every week because we are not willing, I am not willing, to allow myself to become numbed to what's really happening out there. Yes, I want to take this blessed mask off. I wanted to use another word there. But we want to join with the people who knew and loved those individuals who have made their transition. We want to grieve with them and lament with them and mourn with them because we know that every life is precious. And I know it's easy, guys. I know it's easy to forget. I know it's easy to get weary with all these protocols. I know it is. We're so sick of it. We want to stay ahead of the curve, and we also want to do what's right for all of you. These numbers matter. These protocols matter because your life matters. So that's why we share every week. I want to inspire us every week to remember all of the people who are working so hard on the front lines for all of us to keep us safe. So you are invited to do that, and we ask you all to stay in integrity with where you are. So those of you who are at home, safely at home, not having to wear your masks, if the reason you have not been coming to church is because of that, we invite you to church. We want you to know that we will be very carefully watching the numbers every single week, and that our protocols may change from week to week, just so that you know. So let's just know that absolutely life is great, isn't it? You've already heard her welcome to you in music, our beloved Miss Becky B. Let's give her a hand. Don't you love it when Becky B's in the house? There's just an energy that just sparkles in this room. And it's like, yeah, I walk into it. The Becky B sparkle. That's what I'm calling it, the Becky B sparkle. And so we're so delighted to have her with us. And of course, as always, the best music in Boise on Sunday morning under the direction of our beloved Rex Miller. Yes, yes, yes. And on the very favorite color in the world, the turquoise bass, we've got Mr. Ted McClurg holding the low tone. And keeping the beat for us this morning, of course, is Mr. Phil Bowden. So Phil and I were talking this morning, and so as many of you know, with the 30 tornadoes that happened in 6 states in our country this week, that Phil Bowden was born and raised in Mayfield, which was the epicenter for the tornado. And in fact, the entire town has been devastated. And so we're just holding Phil and any of his distant family that may be there. He said he saw his church on the news with the what do you call that? The dome. You remember, you all saw it, I'm sure, if you watched the news, the big church that had the dome. The dome was completely gone. That was his church. So we're just, thank you. Thank you for letting us know that. And we're holding you and your family. So many people to thank. Of course, we have Mr. Rob Compton back on sound. We have practitioner Donna Sheedy on the camera this morning. Yes, ma'am. And we have what else do we have? Oh, our board member of the day for her last board member of the day assignment. We have Miss Beth Ambrose, who's there, and greeting you this morning was Jane and Reverend Janine. Let's just give every single person a help. And a hand. And I just want to say this, it cannot go without saying that when we walked into this amazingly clean, beautiful church this morning, we want to thank Mindy Woods for her amazing cosmic cleaning, and she brought her son, Rory Wood, and wait till you see the e-blast. We've got a picture of Rory cleaning the bathrooms. A guy cleaning the ladies' room. I just loved it. Thank you, Mindy and Rory, so much for all that you did to help us this week. And I also want to give a special shout out to two people who so greatly assisted me yesterday or Friday at Stephanie Downing's memorial, Mr. Rex Miller and Cheryl Houdon, who came in and helped with the memorial service. We say thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We have also, I'm looking at my notes and I'm just saying things, and I forgot to say something last week. You know, speaking of cleaning, if you don't really see the side lights because they're not on, but I want you to know that Beth Ambrose and Kathy McLean came in and cleaned all the lights in the sanctuary and in the lobby, so let's just give them a hand. You know, I know words aren't enough to say thank you, but we are deeply, deeply grateful. And so now let's just get off the business of the church for a minute and get on to why we came. And why did we come? We came to worship, to celebrate, and to know more of ourselves as God in expression. So let's just take a deep breath together. And if you're at home, just cease your activity and just allow yourselves to feel with us right now in the sacredness of the sanctuary at the CSL Boise. Take a deep breath into our strong, healthy lungs, filled with gratitude. Move into the silence of meditation for a moment. Open your heart. Open your mind. Float in the love of God and of this community. And listen to the words of our practitioner, Miss Ophelia Ramirez.
Good morning. This morning it's my honor to introduce one of our musicians, Ted McClurg, who will light the world religion candles from the Christ candle. The candles represent 5 of the major religions of the world. In religious science, we perform this ceremony to acknowledge that all people and all faiths come from the one great universal presence that we call Spirit. In lighting the candles, we honor the one family of humanity that is made up of many, many religions. We light the first candle for Islam, which teaches, if you are grateful, I will give you more. The first who will be summoned to paradise are those who praise God in every situation. We light the second candle for the ancient Hellenic teachings, to take full account of the excellencies which you possess, and in gratitude remember how you would hanker after them, even you had them not. We light the third candle for Buddhism, which teaches 2 virtues: gratitude and to repay good with good. We light the fourth candle for the many expressions of the Christian faiths. In their Bible it is written, "Be anxious for nothing, but in everything by prayer, with thanksgiving, let your request be made known to God." The fifth and the final candle honors New Thought, which teaches peace is a state of inner calm brought about by the awareness that our infinite nature cannot be disturbed. So let us quiet our minds once again and open our hearts to the beautiful message being sung to us by our beloved Becky B.
In this moment, in this place, I remember who I am, letting fear and worry fall away from me. I open my eyes and see there is only love. There is only love. Love that heals, love that sets us free. There is only love. When I lose myself, when it feels I've lost my way, when I quiet my mind and look inside, I can hear Spirit gently say, "Shh." There is only love. There is only love. Love that heals, love that sets us free. There is only love. There is only love. There is only love. It's a love that heals and love that sets us free. There is only love. There is only love. There is only love. Love that heals, love that sets us free. There is only love. There is only love.
Join me in prayer. Yes, there is only love. Only love that we call spirit. The force, the emanation that is the back of all things. Known by many names, that which is often called God, Spirit, the divine, creator. And we know that it is something that is sustaining, permeating, and maintaining all that there is. And this force is in me, expressing as me in human form. I am only love. And what I know for myself, I know for all people, everyone in this sanctuary and beyond, everyone on the earth. We are all only love. And it's from this place of connectivity, this platform of oneness, that I say my word of blessing for our service today. Blessing all who had a hand in making it happen. All who stepped forward in love and volunteered their time and their energy. And I say a special word for our beloved Reverend Jackie Holland. Knowing that she has done her work, and when she gets up to speak to us, she steps aside and allows Spirit to speak through her to us. And so we take in the words, knowing that that is also only love. And so together we say, Amen, Ashe, Shante, Om, Namaste, Aho, and so it is.
Hands together for Miss Becky B.
It's been a hard year. I'm climbing out of the rubble. These lessons are hard. Healing changes are subtle. But every day it's less like tearing, more like building. Less like captive, more like wielding. Less like breakdown, more like surrender. Less like haunting, more like remember. And I feel you here, and you're picking up the pieces. Forever faithful, seemed out of my hands, a bad situation, but you are able. And in your hands, the pain and hurt look less like scars and more like character. character.
Yes, yes, yes. Miss Becky B. Woohoo! Good morning. I'm sure by now everybody's all ready for the holiday. Yes, all ready? All your shopping done? Cahill Gibran said, "And you receivers, and you are all receivers, rise together with the giver on his gifts as on wings." We think about the Christmas, the holiday season. We think about the gifts and the giving, those that we can give, and probably thinking about what we really want to receive. And I have a question for you this morning, all of you. Are you a good receiver? How well can you accept a compliment, a gift, an act of help or assistance, an offer? Because the truth is that most of us are better at giving than we are at receiving. I know that's true of me. Many, if not most of us, feel the same way, I sort of suspect. If somebody gives you a compliment, you go, "Oh, this old thing." Or if somebody says, "Oh, that was pretty great," you go, "Oh, no, that was easy." If somebody gives us a gift, we say, "You shouldn't have." "Oh, no, but thank you." So we're not really very good at receiving, and that's because so many of us feel selfish when we receive, without realizing that receiving is a powerful spiritual tool. It's a powerful spiritual tool for us. How much love, peace of mind, inspiration, joy, and peace are we willing to receive? And what is the difference in that and a compliment? No difference. Someone is giving. The law of circulation is in motion. Many cultures, including our own, teach this: it is better to give than to receive. This is magnified in the Christian Bible, where the word give is used 1,427 times. I often wonder who sits there and counts these words. I'm just saying, I guess with the advent of the computer, it might be a little easy. Search give. I don't know. The word receive, now give is used 1,427 times, and the word receive is used 252 times. So by a ratio of 6-to-1, we're taught that giving is better than receiving. So you see, it's not your fault that you can't receive. It's not your fault. It's really not our fault. But giving is important because, as I said, it activates this law of circulation. But the law of circulation is shut off and up if we don't receive. Because receiving, you see, is a spiritual tool. It takes humility. And it's the humility that we're uncomfortable with. We are uncomfortable with this idea of receiving if we haven't given something in exchange for it. Because it requires humility, and that's what we're uncomfortable with. And that's why it's so much easier to give than to receive. So often, we don't feel that we're worthy. And we're stuck in a feeling of unworthiness, which is at the basis of all of our problems with receiving. We don't feel that we are worthy of the gifts of love and peace or success. We don't feel worthy of that much good. And we can't receive the gifts. And when we don't feel worthy, we sometimes wind up just settling. We don't even treat ourselves. We don't take care of ourselves. So this holiday season is an opportunity for us to look at how willing are we to receive. How willing are we to remember that we are the beloved expressions of the divine God that is always giving. Always giving. Always giving. The book of Romans in the Christian Bible tells us that we are heirs to the kingdom. Heirs to the kingdom. You don't have to do anything to be an heir except to be born. And we were all born. So we are heirs to the kingdom and of heirs of God. This means that we're entitled to all of the blessings and all of the goodness and all of the gifts of the kingdom. You know, the master teacher, Jesus, whose birth we semi-celebrate this time of the year, was good at receiving. When someone gave him a seamless robe, he didn't go, oh, no, 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 I can't. Oh, you shouldn't have. Absolutely not. He received it. And he said, thank you. Thank you. Because he knew who he was. Worthy. An heir to the kingdom. An heir to the kingdom. When we talk about learning to be a better receiver of a gift or a compliment or of help, this is not a trivial conversation to have at any time of the year. This is an important conversation because there is an important reason for being a better receiver. Every time we have difficulty receiving, we send out a resistant energy to the universe that says, I don't want this good. Every time you resist receiving, you're saying, I don't want this good. Don't give it to me. Withhold from me. And of course, we know that the message that the universe receives is how it must respond in kind. So this holiday season, we remember, as my grandmama used to say, God loves a cheerful receiver. I think she meant cheerful giver, but she would always say a cheerful receiver. Meaning be cheerful, be grateful, be loving. Giving and receiving are both generous, gracious, sacred acts. So I'm asking you this. How well are you willing to receive this Christmas season? And as you give your gifts, are we giving our gifts with an expectation of something in return? Are we giving something and thinking, well, they didn't give me anything? Or are we giving just from the pure overflow of love in our hearts? And when someone gives to us, are we receiving with that same overflow? Listen, I know that Christmas can be a hard time for a lot of people, myself included. As much as I love the meaning behind Christmas, as much as I love the rituals behind Christmas, sometimes I too find Christmas a difficult time. And so today, I just want to say it. This holiday season, we're sending our love to all of the people who feel differently about the season than you may feel. We're sending love to the people who are battling mental illness during this holidays. We're sending our love to the people who feel lonely during the holidays and who are alone. We're sending our love to the people who are caregivers for someone who's ill, perhaps a loved one. We're sending our love this holiday season to the people who are struggling to be able to afford a holiday season for their families. And we're sending our love to the people who don't want to have a holiday celebration. There are so many people, not only in this congregation, but in our world, and especially after this week. Due to the tornadoes, we're sending our love to the people who are grieving loss during this season. And we are sending our love to the people who are spending the holidays with people who aren't supportive and aren't loving of them, because we know that that happens in all family situations. So this holiday season, as we move into the next few weeks of celebration, we send our love to all of us, the celebrants and the non-celebrants of this amazing season. And we accept that the season will be whatever intention that we set for it. So that's really what I want to talk to you about today. I really want to talk about, are you willing to receive the gift of the intention that you set for the holidays? Because no one can set it for you. No one can set an intention for you. You and I have to set our own intention for this holiday, knowing that we will get whatever intention we set. Not only for Christmas, but for our entire life. But let's just talk about intention as it relates to Christmas. Because I was thinking a lot about this week as the amazing group of ladies came in, Kathy and Beth and Renee and Jeanette and Joanne, and I was here with my stuff, came in and set up the Christmas decorations. Aren't they beautiful, and aren't we grateful to them for doing that this week? Yeah. And as they were setting up the Christmas decorations, I had a memorial service the next day, and I was torn between the gloriousness and the joy of the holiday season, and the trees and all of the things that we were putting up, and worrying that in the grief of the family, that there could be some tension. And so I found myself being bah humbug over the Christmas season, like, let's not even put a tree up this year. Bah humbug. And then I realized that that was my intention that I was setting. I was setting up a bah humbug intention, and I want to shift that right away. And by the way, Stephanie Downing, whose memorial we had, was born the day after Christmas, and she absolutely loved it, and the family was delighted to have Christmas up. But this week, I want us to explore this spiritual and very important practice that is key to having a more spiritually meaningful holiday, and it's called intention. Most of us don't use the power of intention regularly. Some of us do. Some of us who came up through the business world know you set goals and intentions, and then you put the steps behind them, and boy, intentions are important. But for most of us, in our everyday non-work life, we forget that intention can be one of the most powerful spiritual tools, as well as practical human tools, that we can use in our lives. Because most of us are so busy living on autopilot. We are so busy getting up, getting dressed, going to work, taking care of children, doing the stuff around the church, handling life, that we just move and have our very being in autopilot. When was the last time that we woke up, and I'm talking about myself here, as much as I talk to you guys, I'm telling you. When was the last morning that we woke up, put our feet on the side of the bed, and before we stepped out of our bed, we say, what is my intention for today? For most of us, it's let's get through it. Actually, for me, it's let's get up and feed the dogs. That's my big intention. But on a serious note, what would happen if we use this powerful tool of intention to literally guide what's going to happen to us that day? Intention is powerful. We often get so busy we don't take the time to center ourselves, to pause, to get clear about what it is that we want. One of my spiritual teachers and favorite authors in the world, Gary Zukav, says this. He believes that intention is the source of everything. Intention is the source of everything, he says. He believes that every thought, experience, and change that we have in our lives began with an intention. Whether it was a conscious or an unconscious intention. Everything in your life began with an intention. Intentions are so powerful they can lift us out of negativity, or they can plummet us into the depths of despair. They are that powerful. Many of us think that intention is about will and about forcing and about making something happen. No. But in truth, intention is more about opening ourselves to the possibility of something greater. Intention is about opening yourself to something greater. Because it's already within you. The power, the greatness, the sacredness, the divinity is already within us. Intention is about creating a space for something to happen in our lives. We're creating a space. Therefore, my question is, what kind of space do we want to create? A magnificent, sparkling space like Becky creates with her very presence? Or negative space when you're standing in front of a Christmas tree saying, bah humbug. And down we go. Because that intention is powerful. Wayne Dyer says this, quoting him, "Intention is not something you do, but rather a force that exists in the universe as an invisible field of energy, a power that can carry us. He says it is the difference between motivation and inspiration. Motivation is when you get hold of an idea and don't let go of it until you make it a reality. Inspiration, he says, is the reverse. When an idea gets a hold of you and you feel compelled to let that impulse or energy carry you along. You realize, he says, that you're at a point that you're no longer in charge, that there is a driving force inside of you. What Wayne Dyer is saying here is that there is already embedded in us the inspiration, the power, everything that we need. It's already in us. That Spirit set a higher intention the moment that we were birthed. The moment that we were birthed. Spirit created a greater possibility for our lives. And God gave us free will. A blessing and a curse, as we know. The blessing is that with our free will, we can choose inspiration, intention, to open our lives to greater avenues of goodness, abundance, love, joy, relationship, health. Or, through our free will, we can shut off the divine intention, shut it off completely, that God embedded us the moment that we were birthed. We can shut it off and say, hey, I've got free will here, and I'll create my life the way I want it. And often, we as human beings, when we do that, make a mess. Okay, I'm only talking to myself here. I'm just saying. But I know and believe with all of my heart that God set an intention for the world. That God spoke into the void and the world was created. And if Spirit had an intention for the world, then Spirit has an intention for you and for me and for all people everywhere. God has an intention. Your life is not by happenstance. Your life is an intentional event that brought you here. So we can stand on that. We can stand on that. Now, what has that got to do with Christmas, you're saying, Reverend Jackie? This is one of your normal talks, and it's true. But I was thinking a lot about gifts and intention over this week. For some reason, I've been thinking a great deal about it. Analyzing my own life, why I shut off things that are trying to get in, and why it's about me. It's always about me, my talks. So just listen in to my inner thinking. But really, I do want to say this, that the Christmas story, as I know it, and as I believe it, just so you know, that I believe it's really a demonstration of the power of intention. It begins with Mary, this little, beautiful, young girl who opened up to God's intention for her life. In the book of Luke, we read this: God sent the angel Gabriel to a virgin, Mary, which means innocent, pure. Let's not get it confused with our word here in the 20th century. The angel said, "Greetings, you who are highly favored," as we are all highly favored by God. "The Lord is with you," the angel said. Mary was greatly troubled at the words and wondered what kind of greeting that might be. She did not know. She had no knowledge of any of these things. And she was afraid. And the angel said, "Do not be afraid, Mary, for you have found favor with God. You will be with child and give birth to a son, and you are to give him the name Jesus. He will be great, and he will be called the Son of the Most High." This passage shows that Spirit, God, life, whatever word you want to use for the power that you believe in, that is greater than we are, that God had a clear intention for Mary to give birth to the Christ. And all that means is that Spirit, God, life, had an intention for Mary to give birth to something greater, something more that would bring joy and peace and love to all of humanity. It meant that Spirit had an intention for something to be born on earth to bring gladness and celebration and rejoicing. And this is a metaphysical demonstration that life has that same intention for each and every one of us. that God has the intention for each of us to give birth to something that's greater than exists right now. And we have the potential to do that. We have the potential to do that. Mary serves as our example that there is something greater to be born in us. In us. That we have something to bring forth to our world. More joy, more goodness that comes through us. Because we all know that deep inside ourselves, there is a greater version of ourselves that we can express. We all know that there is something more, this divine discontent that we feel to be more, to express more, to create more. That's the birth of the Christ. In you, something greater, something greater. And we are being called on to give birth to that greatness and to allow it to be made manifest on planet Earth at this time. Christmas comes to remind us of this. The holiday season, whatever you want to call it, comes to remind us of this. For a brief moment, we can suspend our human judgment and we can listen to this story of a little boy born in a stable of humble surroundings from a normal, poor person. And we can believe that if Mary can bring forth goodness, so can we. That's the message of this holiday season. So we need to connect to the intention that God set in us to give birth to greatness. And how do we do that? How do we connect with that intention and give birth to the miracles in our lives? Because I know we can. We must, in order to live. We must. Well, again, I think the Christmas story gives us our answers. First, like Mary, we must be willing to listen. You know, I say this every year, and y'all laugh at me every year, but I want you to imagine that you're standing in Starbucks, and this creature of light walks up to you and says, "Barbara, you have found favor with God." You'd throw your cappuccino in their face. Wouldn't you? Wouldn't you? I mean, I don't know. What would you do if a spectral being in human form walked up to you and said, "You have found favor and therefore you will be giving birth"? I would say, "Hey, God, it is the second coming then," is all I would say. No. We would shut it off right there. We would say, "That's a homeless person, bipolar, schizophrenic person," wouldn't we? But Mary did not do that. Something in her, even though she was scared, heard the truth of the message. I want you to think about that. Because God is speaking to us every single day. And we're shutting the message off. And maybe God is speaking through us, through that troubled relative, or through that person that we can't stand, or through our boss, or through our child that's given us difficulty. Or maybe God is just speaking through us through our prayers, but we shut it off. Possibly because we don't want to hear it. Possibly we can't believe we're worthy of hearing the voice of Spirit. I don't know, but I know, truly I do know that most of us, and I, again, can only speak for myself, don't shut it off. I'm not worthy to receive this gift of God's favor. Mary was scared, but she was willing to listen to the voice of God. And although she was told something that was completely unbelievable and in her mind unattainable, she was still willing to listen to the voice of Spirit. She was still willing to listen to its calling and to open herself up to the great and amazing possibilities. You see, we teach in religious science that this book, this Christian Bible, is a metaphor for all of us. And that we are all the creatures, all of the things, all the people, all of the events, and all of the activities in the Bible, that we are Mary hearing the voice of the angel and giving birth, and that we are the angel and we are the voice of God So imagine for a moment how many times Spirit has spoken in your heart, on your soul, on your spirit, and you have said, that is completely impossible for me to attain, because we were unwilling to listen to amazing possibilities for our lives. How willing are you to listen? As simple as it is, as it sounds, people, it is often difficult. Sometimes Spirit has guided me to leave a job, and I have said no. No. I stay long past the times I should have left. Relationships the same way. Often I have heard the promptings of Spirit to do something, start a new business, go to the doctor, whatever. We all have this. But we don't want to listen. Which is why Scripture tells us that we have ears, but we do not hear. It's not talking about this out here. It's talking about this in here. Can our heart hear? Can our soul hear? Can our spirit receive the message? If we want our lives to improve, we must begin to ask ourselves, how willing am I to listen to the promptings of Spirit, of God, of life itself? And when something feels impossible or uncomfortable or unattainable, are we willing to open our hearts and minds to receive God's call, life's call to us? Because God is always, not just at Christmas, but always calling on us to bring forth our gifts, our blessings to the world. We teach in religious science that one of the simplest and most important things we can do is to get still and listen through meditation and through prayer. I am sure that if we are willing to connect to and to listen to God's intention for our lives, our guidance will be very clear. So I'm asking all of us on this holiday season to receive the gift of listening, lowly listening to Spirit. And don't discount it. Wait. Don't discount it. This Christmas, are you willing to give birth to something that Spirit is calling forth from you? But you won't know unless we listen. We won't know. So Mary said number one to us. She taught us, showed us, modeled for us to listen, even when we are afraid, even when we are uncertain, and even when it's somebody standing in front of you at Starbucks. There's a message in it. Maybe not what's coming out of their mouth, but there's a message. Second, Mary, this is so hard for me because it's something I can't often do. Mary was willing to believe that this was possible. She was willing to believe that it was possible. Friday at Stephanie's memorial service, her husband Johnny said something so interesting, that Stephanie believed, and that the word believe is plastered around their house. And since I was already thinking about this talk, I thought to myself, that's what I should do. I should plaster believe to remind myself all the time. Maybe I should put it on my phone. Believe the message that's coming. Believe what you're hearing. Mary believed it was possible. She didn't know how. She was a child by our standards. But she was willing to believe it was possible. After the angel Gabriel told Mary of God's intention in Luke 1:34-38, Mary asks, how will this be since I'm a virgin? Basically what she is saying, how can this be? I'm unworthy. I don't know what you're saying. I don't understand it. How often do we do that? When we hear the voice of God, we say, I'm not worthy, or I'm not educated enough, or I don't have enough time, or I don't know. But Mary was willing to believe it was possible. And the first words out of her mouth were not no, as is so clear that often those are the words out of our mouth. The angel answered this way, the Holy Spirit will come upon you, and the power of the Most High will overshadow you. So the Holy One to be born will be called the Son of God. And now your relative Elizabeth in her old age, do you remember Elizabeth in her 90s? I think. I don't remember that verse exactly. has also conceived a son. And this is the 6th month for her who was said to be barren. For nothing is impossible with God. Now, why did he say that about her cousin Elizabeth? To show her that if that barren older woman could conceive, then this was nothing. This was nothing. And then Mary said, "Here am I, the servant of the Lord. Let it be with me according to your word." Now, I know for you non-Southern Baptist people, you don't like that. And I get that. I understand that. But really, what is she saying here? What is she saying here? She is saying, here I am, open and receptive and willing to believe God. That's all that servant means. It just means I'm willing. I'm willing to do what is necessary to be done. Because God has spoken on my life. God has spoken on my life. Listen, none of those conditions were even close to being right. An older woman in her 6th month of pregnancy and a child giving birth to the light of the world. There's nothing about this story that seems right. And yet, they both still believe that God had a greater plan for their life. And they believed in the possibility that it could happen. Because we teach and we know that belief is powerful. There is nothing more powerful than belief. When someone truly believes that something is possible, the universe will begin to move in amazing ways. When you believe that something is possible, all the power of the universe will rush in to support it. I don't know what's going on in all of your lives. I know that there are some very difficult things going on in families and in health situations with so many of you. But I do know this, that the only thing that can get us through this is belief in a power and a presence that is greater than we are. That is God working its magic and miraculous ways through us, as Mary was willing to believe. So it shall be, according to your word, she said. We believe that whatever we ask for in prayer, that we receive it and it's already ours. All things are possible to those who believe. Are you willing to receive that gift on your life? The gift of possibility, the gift of belief. But here's what we say, nah. We look at the conditions of our lives and we say that it's not possible. All we have to do is look at the great examples, not the great exceptions, one being Jesus himself, the great example of our world. You can look at people like Oprah Winfrey, who came from poverty and abuse. You can look at Bill Gates, who didn't go to college. You can look at Tim Allen, who spent a fair amount of time in jail. He's one of my favorites. You can look at my own minister, Dr. Michael Beckwith, who had some, shall we say, brushes with the drug police in his life. And yet today is one of the greatest, if not the greatest, spiritual leader of New Thought. I'm telling you, I could go on and on and on and on and on. They didn't say no when God spoke into their lives. They believed that in spite of what was going on, there was a greater possibility. They had belief. So I'm asking you, are you willing to just accept the gift of possibility here? Are you willing to believe, have belief in this that I'm telling you today, that Spirit has a deeper intention for your life than you have ever imagined? I do not care how old you are or how young you are. Do you not see in that story God's message? An older person and a younger person. The message is, it does not matter. I have an intention for your life, says God. I have an intention for your life, says Spirit. Hear my intention, because God expressing through us, as us, is us. Are you willing to overlook your current conditions and situations, and like Mary, are you willing to believe that anything is possible? And the third and final lesson for today about Mary's situation and intention is that Mary allowed the work to be done in her life. She didn't have any idea what she was being called on to do. She had no idea. She was just willing to carry the space, to be the space, and trust that life through her would express in a perfect way. She did not attempt to manipulate it, as far as we know. She did not allow anything to interfere with it. She just simply allowed life to come through her. Now, we are not talking about birthing a baby here. We're not stepping on that today, no, in case anybody wants to go there. That is not what we're talking about. I am speaking about Mary giving birth to a new miracle of love and life, which was Jesus itself. Allowing is the opposite of resisting. Mary did not resist. And like Mary, we have to stop resisting if we want our greatness to come through. We have to stop resisting, because we resist so many things in life. We resist work. We want the things that we want, and we want it to be easy. And we're seeing that out in our world today right now. We want them to be quick. We want them when we want them. We resist the bumps in the road that create challenges for the things that we're trying to achieve. But those bumps make us stronger and get us to where we want to go. Think about Mary's situation for just a minute. Mary was told she was going to give birth. That took 9 months. It was a process. She and Joseph had to travel from Galilee to Bethlehem. That was about 80 miles. Remember, walking and on donkey back. How long did that take? They made the journey on foot, and a young pregnant Mary was on the back of the donkey. When they arrived, they were turned away from the inn. There was no room for them. The world wasn't making room for their greatness. How many times do you feel that about yourself? When you stand up and say to your family, your friends, or whomever, this is what I'm going to do, and they all go, what? Have you lost your mind? Don't you know you're too old? Don't you know you're a woman? Don't you know you don't have enough education? Don't you know life has passed you by? Don't you know the statistics that say you'll never be in a relationship over 50? On and on and on. And yet, that is what I'm talking about. Mary did not allow the world to stop her at all. They did not allow being turned away from the inn. They did not allow the long journey to stop them. They did not allow any of that. They just allowed life to come through them. And it was not an easy journey. Just like us, sometimes the conditions and situations in our journey are difficult. But most of all, it's usually because the process of the journey is what is getting us to the promise and the possibility. Our journey also is about allowing the work to be done that has to be done. We have to allow ourselves to feel joy along the journey, but we also have to allow ourselves to do the work and to allow ourselves to appreciate every blessing that we have right now, to receive the gifts right now. Right now. We can't get discouraged because things aren't working out the way we want them, because we believe that God spoke on our life and that we're supposed to do something, but it's not showing up. It's supposed to show up right now because God said so. No. Sometimes it takes the journey. It takes the work. All success takes time. In his journey to invent the light bulb, Thomas Edison is very famous for the over 2,000 times that he tried to invent the light bulb. Or we know he stole it from somebody, but that's another talk. Nevertheless, over 2,000 failures, but he said this, he never said it was a failure. He said this, and I'm quoting, "I didn't fail. I found 2,000 ways how not to make a light bulb. I only need to find one way to make it work." I love that. So Christmas comes around for us every year to remind us that the greatest gift that we can ever give ourselves is to set the intention for our life to be a gift to our world. I hope for every single one of us that we learn to accept and appreciate the fact that we have a wonderful life in spite of what it looks like. In spite of what's going on out there, today we have a wonderful life. Every person within the sound of my voice, no matter what it looks like. If we can learn to appreciate that, if we can accept that, and if this Christmas, the greatest gift that we can give and the greatest gift that we can receive is the gift of ourselves, is the gift of our intention to create a miracle on planet Earth. So I invite you all for the next 2 weeks to pause, to slow down, to listen, and to allow yourselves to connect with Spirit's intention for your life. And most of all, I invite you to believe that all things are possible in this season of magic. Peace and blessings, my beloveds. Just take a moment. Just take a moment. So I invite Ophelia to come up with us. Just take a moment and reflect on your blessings. And I invite you to set an intention right now, because it's going to be anchored with prayer. Right now, set your intention. Ophelia doesn't need to know what your intention is. She just needs to believe in the possibility of your intention. I give you a moment. Set your intention into this powerful prayer vortex. I pass to Ophelia.
Taking a moment to enter into the sacred space, the space where we know that all is possible, that all it takes is our intention, because we know that there is only one power, one presence, one creative force that is the back of everything on this earth. The back of our intentions, the back of our words, the back of all that we can see, all that we cannot see. There's only Creator. A Creator of love, compassion, a giver of life. How grateful we are to know this and to step into this together as a community. And this intention, this force, is in all of us. It's in me, expressing as me, coming forth as only I can do, and coming forth as only you can do, as we can all do. And it's from this place of knowing our oneness, this place of understanding, that a word is spoken. A word is spoken for all who are suffering in this world. Like the phases of the moon, sometimes we only see a little sliver, but yet we know the entire moon is there. Sometimes with our human eyes, we only see a sliver of what is going on, but yet we know that God is present.
And continuing in this sacredness of prayer, we hold so many people who have requested prayer in this church in our hearts. And we believe and know the possibility of miracles for our beloved Sue Montague, right where she is in the hospital. We know that her body temple is growing stronger and stronger, and that she is being taken care of, cared for by the greatest medical personnel in this city. We bless her son Sherman and her family as they're holding the high watch, as we all are. Oh, we bless our beloved Jackie Lukenbach, who this week walked her beloved pup, her beloved dog, to the Rainbow Bridge and released her over that bright and colorful chasm, relieved of its pain and its cancer. And we hold Jackie in our hearts and send comfort and love her way. This morning we are holding J.J. Bullock and Joanne Zimmerman in our prayers for healing of their body temples. Joanne has pneumonia and J.J. is continuing with some upper respiratory things. We just bless both J.J. and Joanne Zimmerman with our prayers. Continuing to know the truth for so many who have requested prayer of disruption in their family relationships. We know that God and love are there. For the lonely, the hurt, the lost, God is there. And for the almost 100 confirmed deaths in this tornado in Arkansas, Illinois, Kentucky, Missouri, Mississippi, and Tennessee, we send our love and light to this devastated area already so broken with the pandemic. We open this prayer vortex right now for anyone who wishes to speak into it, just in your hearts and in the silence of your mind. Just speak into this prayer vortex. Sending our love to Lisa Michelle. Sending our strength and courage to her in support and love. And we continue to hold our beloved Johnny Downing in our prayers, and Stephanie's daughter Nicole, and the grandchildren and all her friends, so many who loved her, and now release her to her greater yet to be. We know that all is well, and that Stephanie is dancing in her body of light. And we continue to hold Cindy, Boyce, and Diane as they release their mother, Donna, and prepare for her memorial service this week. We know that all is well. I am so grateful to know this. So grateful.
And I also speak my word for all of the mostly Guatemalan immigrants, 50 plus, who lost their life in that horrific accident in Mexico. So grateful to know the truth of all situations, calming our hearts, our minds, our emotions. We release all these words into the law with gratitude, with love in our hearts, with a commanding knowing that our words are done, because we know that the law only says yes. So we release it, we let go, and together we say,
And
And so it is. Aho.
Take a deep breath and turn to someone and tell them how glad you are that they're here. And for those of you on Facebook Live, know that we are holding you and saluting the Christ consciousness that is within you right now. So, thank you so much for being with us on these holidays. Very quickly, I want to just announce that our Christmas Eve service will be on Christmas Eve, of course. That's December the 24th at 6:30, from 6:30 to 7:30. 1 hour, beautiful, sacred time here in the sanctuary and, of course, on Facebook Live as well. Please join us for an amazing evening of just beauty and candle lighting. And if you want to pick up a candle, just give me a call and we'll put some candles out front if you don't want to be here, but you want to light the candle at home, or you can have your own candles present. So that's happening, and also you'll be checking your e-blast because we've got a grief support group coming up in January. We have our classes starting in the middle of January, I think the 15th, is that whatever date we decided? I don't know, Philly and I know, but just keep checking your e-blast, and we will be having hybrid classes both here and on on Zoom as well. I just want to remind you, so much is happening, and it is the determination that it's time to open our church. And therefore, we are going to begin in January with our youth church and with all of the other activities that we have had in the past, including hospitality, although we're going to be bringing hospitality back probably next week. So it is our intention to open our church up in January and hold and believe in the possibility of our church coming back. Not as it was, but coming back in a new and a better way. And I'm telling you that because we need your help to make that happen. This church has for almost 2 years now been running with a crew of 8 to 10 volunteers. Strong volunteers, and that's not including our practitioner corps. That's a separate volunteer issue. But I'm talking about the day-to-day, getting things done, running this church, supporting the minister, getting ready for you. There have been 8 to 10 volunteers for the last 2 years, and they are tired. We're all tired. And so we need your help. We need people who would be willing to be with our children's church. It looks like right now we will only have 2 divisions, older children and the younger children. So we're looking for people who would be willing to come in and give 1 Sunday a month to support our youth church so that our children can come back. We will have activities and crafts and everything done for you. It's just we need your help in bringing our children back. I know that all of you understand that without children, no church will survive. We must bring our children back. And I'm asking for your help. You know, I ran the largest youth church in our New Thought organization for almost 20 years. And so it's hard for me to be the leader of a church that doesn't have a youth church. But I can't do both. Maybe I could retire and run the youth church here. But I'm just saying, I'm asking for your help until we can make that happen. So if you are moved to help us with hospitality, to help us with greeting, to help us with setup, to help us with all of the things that need to be done in this church. If you're in the sanctuary, there's a sign up on that under our heart. Sign up and say, I'm willing to do youth church. I'm willing to do hospitality. I'm willing to do whatever. Or for those of you who are online, you can email us at office@cslboise.org, office@cslboise.org, or right now put it in the live feed, whatever you want. And speaking of what giving and receiving, our practitioner corps very much wishes to give the gift of prayer to you this holiday. We're asking you, if there's anything going on for which you wish to receive prayer, please call any one of our practitioners. If you do not have their numbers, they're putting them on right now, but also you can go to the website at cslboise.org, cslboise.org, click on our practitioners. You can get their phone numbers. Their pictures are going to be put up pretty quickly here so that you can call any practitioner, or you can email for prayers at prayers, plural, prayers@cslboise.org. Or right now you can put it in the live feed. But I'm especially saying during this holiday season, do not be alone. No matter what is going on, no matter what is troubling you, or if you want to just have a prayer for celebration, our practitioners very much wish to give the gift of prayer. And they wish to receive the gift of honoring with prayer. So as they give, they are receiving the gift of being honored. So please call our practitioners, call me, call anyone to receive prayer during this holiday season. Those of you in the sanctuary, you can fill out your holiday request prayer right by filling out one of the brochures. So this is our conscious giving time. Quickly, I know it's kind of running over today. Very quickly, let's just take a moment and let's just bless our gifts. For those of you who give electronically, just pick up one of these hearts and say, with me, as we bless the gift and the giver, divine love as me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, and all that I circulate. And so it is. Amen, amen, amen. Ladies and gentlemen, Miss Becky B.
Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4. Have a holly jolly Christmas. It's the best time of the year. I don't know if there'll be snow, but have a cup of cheer. Have a holly jolly Christmas, and when you walk down the street, say hello to friends you know and everyone you meet. Ho, ho, the mistletoe hung where you can see. Somebody waits for you, kiss him once for me. Have a holly jolly Christmas, and in case you didn't hear, oh by golly, have a holly jolly Christmas this year. Rex Miller. Ted McClurg on bass. Phil Bowden on those sleigh bells, yeah. Have a holly jolly Christmas. It's the best time of the year. I don't know if there'll be snow, but have a cup of cheer. Have a holly jolly Christmas, and when you walk down the street, say hello to folks you know and everyone you meet. Oh ho ho, the mistletoe hung where you can't see. Somebody waits for you, kiss her once for me. Have a holly jolly Christmas, and in case you didn't hear, oh by golly, have a holly jolly Christmas this year. Oh by golly, have a holly jolly Christmas this year. Ho, ho, ho.
If you're comfortable, please stand. And my blessing for you this week is to listen to that small voice, listen to whatever intention you made, and believe that it's possible. Have a great week.